Hey, and we are the Coalition, loud and proud, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting tonight in Providence on the banks of, what is the name of this river?
This is the Providence River.
The sun is setting, so we're going to be quick. Got a moment to catch up with congressional candidate, former Representative Aaron Regunberg, a recent graduate of law school, who has come back to the hometown to engage in the CD1 race. And perhaps that's a little bit unfair, because my personal experience with Mr. Regunberg is that he, despite going to law school, has been back a lot.
I never left. I commuted up.
I understand that. But also, you were very involved, particularly in climate change protests. I've seen you there about half a dozen times, everywhere from Cranston to Benefit Street and in between. So, I wanted to just catch up with him. Representative Regunberg, first of all, what honorific should we use? Could we just call you Aaron?
Aaron's great.
Aaron's great, okay. This is beyond contentious, even by Rhode Island standards, this race. We're going to be focusing on issues here on the Coalition. What was your motivation for diving back into electoral politics? And can you give us just a couple of issues that you really want to focus on?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my wife and I have a 2-year-old, and being a parent is amazing, but like a lot of parents, I worry about the future. Are our kids going to be safe in school from guns and mass shootings? Are they, when they get older, are they going to be able to afford college and housing and healthcare? Are they going to have clean air to breathe? Are they going to ever see snow when they're our age? Are they going to grow up in a functioning democracy? When I'm thinking about these fears, though, I'm not just scared, I'm angry, because it's not an accident, right, that we have more gun deaths in this country than anywhere else in the world. It's not an accident that our climate is spiraling out of control. It's not an accident that the cost of living keeps going up and up, right? The fossil fuel industry, the gun industry, drug companies, and their Republican allies are creating these problems because they are making billions and billions of dollars off of them. And so I'm running for Congress because I'm hopeful, not just scared and angry, but also hopeful that we can take on some of these entrenched interests and we can win. And I believe that we can, because I've done it here in Rhode Island as a state legislator, passing paid sick days and higher wages and new clean energy programs, as a community organizer working in our public schools, and as a new climate lawyer. I've seen that it's possible to bring people together and win real progressive policy change. And that's the kind of leadership I think we need in Congress right now.
Speak to your experience as a sitting representative in criminal justice reform, particularly your engagement in an issue that's near and dear to the heart of the Coalition, and of course that's the work to significantly reform, nearly end solitary confinement.
Yeah, so that's an issue that when I was in the state legislature, I worked on for years and have continued to be engaged on. It's barbarism, right? Our state institutions, our state dollars are going towards a practice that the United Nations has labeled long-term solitary confinement is torture. We are instituting this barbaric practice on our neighbors, on our own citizens, and it is doing incredible damage to people. It's not a very sexy issue. It's not one of those kitchen table issues that I talk about on the doors, but to me it's a moral imperative that we be ending long-term solitary confinement in our state. I introduced legislation when I was a rep. We weren't able to pass it, so I worked on a study commission to try to bring everyone together and get some administrative reforms passed. I've been frustrated by that process because on the one hand, some changes were made, but on the other hand, members of the Department of Corrections have then pointed to that to say, look, we don't need to take on bigger reform. We don't need to say we can't have long-term solitary confinement at all. And that's why, I went to the State House a couple weeks ago for Rep. Leonella Felix's bill, because we can't say that we are good moral people while we're allowing this kind of practice to continue.
Last question, because I promise I'd only keep you a couple minutes. Speak to the importance of having a working relationship with state and municipal legislatures in a town like Rhode Island when you're at the congressional level. Why? And that seems to be much more important more recently since the pandemic than ever. But why is that important?
Well, I'd say it's important for a few reasons. I mean, one, there's sort of material issues. Federal funding is a really, really important component of state budget, of city and town budgets. And so making sure that there are those channels of communication, that when there's a particular need, that our federal delegation is able to zero in on it and prioritize it and fight to make sure that those resources are able to come to those communities that need it. I think it's also really important going the other way, because folks in Congress, they need to be hearing from our local communities to know what they should be doing. They need to be talking with folks on the ground, because I'm pretty conscious of the fact that if I were to win this seat, I'll be going to DC for 3 days a week, whatever it might be, and I think that can have a way of disconnecting you. I think we see that with some other Congress people, not in Rhode Island, but certainly in other places. And so just making sure that communication is happening, that you've got your ear to the ground and know what the issues are that folks are dealing with at the local level is really important.
You've seen national politics sort of co-opt, not locally, but nationally, a number of congressional leaders into being focused almost exclusively on national issues, sometimes the outrages of the day. And you've seen some of those politicians take the fall because that's how AOC got elected, isn't it? They've taken the fall because they don't have that connection. They don't maintain that connection with local governments. Aaron, thank you again. Quickly, where can folks find you? And I just want to point out briefly that we will be doing an extended series of conversations with congressional candidates in the next few weeks. I hope that you'll participate in that, because I think you've got an important voice. But how can folks find out about you right now?
So our website's aaronregunberg.com. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Would love to hear from folks.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, and have fun out on the campaign trail. It's going to be a crazy summer.
Thanks, Pat.